13 plants. That's all that stands between you and never buying another bag of chicken feed again. Right now, you're spending $50, $70, maybe over $100 a month on commercial feed. You load it in the truck, you haul it home, you pour it in the feeder, and next month you do it all over again. But what if your property could grow everything your flock needs? Protein, calcium, carbohydrates, vitamins, all of it from plants that grow back on their own year after year. These aren't experimental garden projects. These are proven ancient feed systems that sustained flocks for centuries before bagged pellets ever existed. Feed companies won't tell you about them because the moment you grow your own feed, their business model falls apart. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which 13 plants to grow. You'll know how to layer them across your property for year-round feed production, and the specific mistakes that cause most people to fail before they even get started. Here's what nobody talks about when it comes to feeding chickens. Commercial feed prices have nearly doubled in the last 5 years. A bag that cost $15 not long ago now runs $25 to $30, sometimes more depending on where you live. A small flock of 10 chickens can go through 3 to 4 bags per month. That's $75 to $120 every single month just to keep your birds fed. Over a year, you're looking at $1,000 or more, and that number keeps climbing. But cost isn't even the worst part. You're completely dependent on a supply chain you don't control, prices you don't set, availability you can't guarantee. We've all seen it. Store shelves empty, feed mills shut down temporarily, delivery trucks delayed. When supply tightens, prices spike even higher. And what's actually in that bag? Standardized processed pellets formulated to meet minimum nutritional requirements. Minimum, not optimal. Fillers, byproducts, and ingredients you can't even pronounce. Your hens deserve better, and honestly, so does your wallet. The frustrating part is that most chicken keepers believe there's no alternative. They think commercial feed is the only option, that growing your own feed takes massive acreage and specialized equipment. That's exactly what the feed industry wants you to believe. Because the moment you realize a handful of perennial plants can replace what's in that bag, everything changes. You stop driving to the store, you stop watching prices, you stop depending on their system entirely. And that's power they don't want you to have. The truth is, chickens never relied on bagged feed. That's a modern invention. For thousands of years, flocks thrived on diverse plants, seeds, roots, and insects. They laid eggs, they reproduced, they lived full healthy lives without a single pellet. What changed wasn't the chickens. What changed was the system built around selling you something your property can already produce. Here's what ancient farmers understood that modern agriculture wants you to forget. Chickens are designed to eat living ecosystems, not processed pellets. They evolved over thousands of years, consuming diverse plants, seeds, roots, and insects. Their digestive systems are built for variety. Their bodies thrive on fresh, natural nutrition that changes with the seasons. Ancient farmers didn't have feed stores, pellet mills, or supply chains. What they had was knowledge. They knew which plants produced the most protein, which ones stored energy underground for winter, which ones grew back after harvest without replanting, and they built entire feeding systems around those plants. Farmers in Southeast Asia have been growing Azolla, a tiny floating fern, to feed poultry for centuries. Moringa has sustained livestock across tropical Africa and India for generations. Comfrey was called the healing herb by medieval European farmers, who fed it to every animal on the homestead. Jerusalem artichoke was a staple crop for Native American communities long before European settlement. This isn't new science. This is forgotten wisdom. Modern commercial agriculture didn't improve on these systems, it replaced them. Not because pellets are better nutrition, but because pellets are easier to sell. You can't put a profit margin on a plant that grows itself forever in someone's backyard. So that knowledge got buried, pushed aside, replaced with convenient bags and monthly bills. But the plants never went anywhere. They're still growing, still producing, still waiting. Waiting for someone smart enough to use them. And that someone is you. Today, we're walking through 13 specific plants that cover every nutritional need your flock has. Protein, calcium, carbohydrates, vitamins, and minerals. Each one is perennial or self-seeding. Each one grows in common U.S. climates, and each one keeps producing year after year without replanting. Plant 1 is Comfrey, the single most powerful plant on this list. Comfrey contains 20 to 25% protein by dry weight. That's comparable to alfalfa and higher than most commercial grain mixes. It's loaded with calcium, vitamin A, vitamin C, B12, iron, magnesium, and phosphorus. Everything your laying hens need for strong shells, healthy feathers, and consistent production. But here's what makes Comfrey truly special. You plant it once, and it produces for 20 to 50 years. No replanting, no reseeding, no annual soil prep. The roots survive winter underground and push new growth every spring automatically. Harvest stimulates more growth. Cut it back, and it comes back faster and thicker. One mature plant can yield 30 to 50 pounds of fresh leaves annually. 10 plants give you 300 to 500 pounds of free chicken feed every single year. If you're spending $1,000 a year on feed, and Comfrey replaces even 30%, that's $300 saved annually. From plants that cost $5 to $10 each to start. Plant it along garden edges or near your coop. It grows in zones 3 through 9, tolerates clay, sand, rocky ground, and drought. Strip the leaves and toss them to your flock fresh, or dry them for winter storage. This one plant alone could change your entire feed budget. Plant 2 is Moringa, the fast-growing protein tree. If Comfrey is the workhorse, Moringa is the racehorse. Moringa leaves contain 25% protein on a dry matter basis, higher than most commercial feeds on the market. They're packed with vitamins A and C, plus calcium. The exact nutrients laying hens need for vibrant yolk color, strong eggshells, and robust immune systems. Chickens go crazy for it. They'll rush to eat fresh Moringa leaves before touching anything else in the feeder. A single tree can reach 10 feet in its first year and produce several pounds of leaves per harvest. You harvest every 2 to 3 weeks throughout the growing season. Just strip the leaflets from branches and feed them fresh or dry them for storage. In USDA zones 9 through 11, Moringa grows year-round outdoors. Zones 7 and 8, it dies back in winter but returns from roots in spring. Colder zones, grow it in large containers and bring them inside during freezing months. This tree has been feeding livestock across tropical Africa and Asia for centuries. It's not a trend. It's proven agriculture that feed companies hope you never discover. Now we shift from soil to water, and this one surprised me the most. Plant 3 is Azolla, a tiny floating aquatic fern. It contains 25% protein plus essential amino acids, vitamin A, B12, iron, and calcium. It doubles its mass every 3 to 5 days. The fastest producing feed source on this entire list. You don't need land, you don't need good soil. You need a kiddie pool, water, and a starter culture. Fill a shallow container with 4 to 6 inches of water, float your Azolla starter on top, place it in partial sunlight. That's it. Every few days, scoop out half and feed it to your chickens. The remaining half regenerates to full coverage within days. A single small pool produces several pounds of fresh feed per week. 2 or 3 containers can cover a significant portion of protein needs for a flock of 6 to 10 birds. Families in Vietnam, India, and the Philippines have used this system for generations. It works in zones 6 through 11 during warm months. Keep multiple backup containers though. Azolla can crash in extreme heat above 95 degrees. Redundancy protects your supply. Plant 4 is Jerusalem artichoke, the underground energy bank. Most plants feed your chickens from above ground. This one stores feed underground for you. Also called sunchoke, it's a perennial tuber crop that produces carbohydrate-rich tubers underground every fall. The tubers are packed with inulin and sustained energy. Exactly what your flock needs during winter when fresh greens are scarce. The stalks grow 6 to 10 feet tall and can be chopped for roughage throughout the growing season. Chickens eat the chopped tubers and stalks eagerly, getting both energy and fiber from a single plant. Here's what makes this one almost unfair. It self-seeds aggressively. Plant it once and it returns every year without replanting. Tubers left in the ground overwinter sprout in spring and continue the cycle indefinitely. It thrives in zones 3 through 9, tolerates poor soil, drought, and neglect. Even in zone 3, where winters drop below -20, tubers survive frozen soil and emerge vigorously in spring. Don't dig the entire patch at once. Harvest weekly, leaving tubers in the ground where they stay fresh. The soil is your storage bin. Plant 5 is tree collards, the perennial green machine. Most greens are annual crops. They grow, produce, die, and you start over next year. Tree collards break that cycle completely. These perennial vegetables grow 6 to 10 feet tall and produce large nutritious leaves continuously for 5 to 10 years. They're loaded with vitamins A, C, and K, plus calcium, iron, and antioxidants. In zones 7 through 10, they stay productive almost year-round, even through light frosts. Even when everything else in your garden is dead and brown. You just harvest the outer leaves weekly and toss them to your flock. The plant keeps growing from the center, producing new leaves continuously. 4 to 6 plants can supply consistent greens for a small flock throughout the entire growing season. Tree collards don't produce viable seeds, so you propagate from cuttings. Cuttings root reliably in soil or water within 2 to 3 weeks. Ask a neighbor who grows them, or order starter plants from homesteading suppliers online. They're more cold tolerant than Moringa, making them the better choice for northern climates. Plant 6 is sunflowers, the homegrown energy seed. Sunflower seeds pack about 20% protein by weight, plus healthy fats and vitamin E. That's concentrated energy your hens desperately need during heavy laying periods. Egg production is energetically expensive. Hens burn through calories fast. Sunflower seeds deliver those calories efficiently while supporting reproductive health and feather condition. Black oil sunflower seeds are preferred over striped varieties. They're smaller, easier for chickens to eat, and have higher oil content. Grow them in zones 4 through 9. They're drought tolerant once established. Farmers in Eastern Europe and Russia have traditionally grown sunflowers to feed poultry for generations. Let the heads dry on the stalk, then toss entire heads into the run. Your chickens will pick them clean. One 10-foot row can produce pounds of free feed every season. Plant 7 is white clover, the living feed carpet. Here's one hiding in plain sight. White clover is a perennial nitrogen-fixing plant that spreads aggressively and tolerates foot traffic. It survives mowing and provides protein-rich forage chickens love. Plant it once in your run or grazing area, and it comes back every year. It fixes nitrogen in the soil, which means it actually improves your ground while feeding your flock. No fertilizer needed. It feeds itself and your chickens. It grows in zones 3 through 9, thrives in sun or partial shade, handles clay and sandy soil. Use it in a rotation grazing system. Let chickens graze one section for 2 to 3 weeks while the other recovers. The clover regrows fast and provides fresh forage every rotation cycle. Combined with the other plants on this list, clover fills the ground-level forage gap most feed systems miss. Plant 8 is dandelion. Don't pull it, feed it. Dandelion is packed with calcium, iron, vitamins A and K. It grows absolutely everywhere in zones 3 through 9 without any help from you. Your chickens will devour the leaves, flowers, and even the roots. It's a free self-seeding superfood that most people treat as a weed. Ancient farmers knew better. They let chickens forage dandelion patches intentionally. Plant 9 is plantain, the broadleaf weed, not the banana. It's the common broadleaf weed growing in your yard right now. Plantain is rich in calcium and vitamins and has natural anti-inflammatory properties. Chickens eat it readily. It grows in every US climate zone and comes back year after year. Plant 10 is chickweed. This cool season annual self-seeds so aggressively, it's practically perennial. It's high in protein and minerals, grows in partial shade. It thrives in the exact cool, wet conditions where other plants struggle. Your chickens will eat it down to the ground. It grows back. Repeat all spring and fall. Plant 11 is amaranth. Amaranth seeds contain 13 to 15% protein, and the leaves are edible too. It self-seeds prolifically in zones 5 through 10. Grow it once, and it comes back on its own every season. One of the highest protein grains you can grow at home. Plant 12 is duckweed, Azolla's cousin. Duckweed floats on water just like Azolla, but contains up to 40% protein by dry weight. It grows in any still water source: ponds, barrels, ditches. It doubles its mass in 2 to 3 days, even faster than Azolla. Keep a separate container from your Azolla. Both together give you massive protein production from water alone. Plant 13 is nasturtium. This one does triple duty. Nasturtium is a natural dewormer, an immune booster, and a nutrient-dense feed plant. The entire plant is edible: leaves, flowers, and seeds. It self-seeds annually in zones 4 through 10 and acts as a natural pest repellent in your garden. Chickens eat it readily, and it's been used traditionally to support flock health without chemical dewormers. Together, these 13 plants cover protein, calcium, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, and even natural health support. You're not just replacing feed, you're building a complete self-renewing nutrition system. When I first heard about replacing chicken feed with plants, I thought it was wishful thinking. I was spending close to $90 a month on commercial feed for a flock of 12 hens. That's over $1,000 a year just to keep them fed. Every time I drove to the feed store and saw the price had gone up another $1 or $2, my stomach turned. So I decided to test it. Not all at once, I started small. First spring, I planted 10 comfrey root cuttings along my garden fence. Cost me about 40 tahilans total. I threw in a moringa seedling in a big pot near the coop. I set up 2 kiddie pools with Azolla starter cultures I ordered online for $12. I was skeptical, honestly. I expected the whole thing to be more work than it was worth. But by midsummer, those comfrey plants were exploding. I was cutting leaves every 2 weeks, and my chickens devoured them. The Azolla pools were producing faster than my flock could eat it. I started mixing fresh moringa leaves into their morning feed. I noticed the yolks getting darker in about 10 days. By the end of that first season, I'd cut my commercial feed purchases by roughly 35%. That was around $30 a month staying in my pocket instead of going to the feed store. Year 2 was when it really clicked. The comfrey came back bigger. I added Jerusalem artichokes along the back fence and tree collard cuttings near the run. I let white clover take over one section of the yard for rotational grazing. My feed bill dropped close to 50%. I was spending about $45 instead of $90. My hens were healthier. Brighter feathers, stronger shells, more consistent laying through fall than I'd ever seen. I went from skeptic to complete convert. Not because someone told me it worked, but because I watched it happen in my own backyard, with my own flock and my own wallet. Before you rush out and start planting, let me save you some headaches. These are the mistakes I see people make over and over again. Mistake 1 is trying to eliminate commercial feed overnight. This is the biggest one. You cannot rip away bagged feed and replace it with plants on day 1. Your flock's digestion needs time to adjust, and your plants need time to establish and produce volume. Start by supplementing 10 to 15% of their diet with homegrown plants. Increase gradually over weeks and months. Rushing this leads to weight loss, dropped egg production, and frustrated chicken keepers who give up too soon. Mistake 2 is growing only one plant. Comfrey alone won't do it. Moringa alone won't do it. No single plant provides complete nutrition. Chickens need protein, carbohydrates, calcium, vitamins, and minerals from diverse sources. That's why this list has 13 plants, not one. You need to layer multiple plants across your property, so the nutritional gaps get filled from every direction. One protein source, one energy source, one mineral source at minimum. Mistake 3 is ignoring your climate zone. Moringa is incredible, but it won't survive a Zone 4 winter outdoors. Azolla crashes above 95 degrees. Jerusalem artichoke spreads where you don't want it if you don't contain it. Match every plant to your specific USDA zone before you spend a dime. The best system is the one that actually grows where you live. Mistake 4 is no backup cultures for Azolla and duckweed. Water-based plants can crash fast. One heat wave, one contaminated water source, and your entire culture is gone. Always keep 2 to 3 separate containers so you have backup cultures to restart from. Redundancy isn't optional with aquatic plants. It's survival. Picture this. It's 2 years from now. You walk outside in the morning, and harvest comfrey leaves from the fence line. You grab a handful of moringa from the pot by the coop. You scoop Azolla from the kiddie pool. You toss tree-collared leaves to your flock on the way past. Total time, 5 minutes. Total cost, 0. Your hens are healthier than they've ever been. Shells are rock solid, yolks are deep orange. Egg production is steady through fall when it used to drop off. You haven't been to the feed store in weeks. When feed prices spike again, and they will, you barely notice. Your neighbor is complaining about $32 bags. You're harvesting free protein from plants you put in the ground once. That's not a fantasy. That's what a layered perennial feed system looks like when it matures. Every year the plants get bigger, produce more, and require less from you. The system compounds while your costs shrink. You've built something that feeds your flock without feeding the supply chain. That's real self-sufficiency. Which of these 13 plants are you going to start with this season? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one, and your answer helps me know what to cover next. If this video opened your eyes to what's possible, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. I share proven homesteading strategies every week that save real money and build real independence. Your chickens don't need a factory to feed them. They need a farmer smart enough to grow what they actually need. And that farmer is you. Comfrey leaves can also be fermented briefly before feeding, which some keepers find increases palatability for pickier birds. A 3-bin rotation of comfrey patches ensures a fresh cutting is always available, even during the plant's peak demand weeks. Moringa pods, once mature, can be cooked and fed as a vegetable, adding yet another edible part to an already generous tree. Drying moringa leaves in a dehydrator preserves close to 90% of the nutritional value compared to fresh leaves fed immediately. Azolla thrives fastest in water with a neutral pH, so testing your water source before starting a culture pays off quickly. A floating ring of pond netting keeps Azolla contained in one section of a larger pond if you don't want it spreading everywhere. Jerusalem artichoke flowers, which resemble small sunflowers, also attract pollinators that benefit the rest of your garden. Cutting Jerusalem artichoke stalks back in late fall before the first hard freeze makes spring cleanup significantly easier. Tree-collared cuttings taken in early spring root faster than cuttings taken during the heat of summer in most climates. A tree-collared hedge along a fence line doubles as a privacy screen, while quietly producing chicken feed year-round. Sunflower stalks left standing through winter provide windbreak protection for coops in addition to their seed production. Saving seed heads from your best sunflower plants each year gradually improves the vigor of your homegrown seed stock. White clover seed is inexpensive enough that overseeding an entire run costs less than a single bag of commercial feed. A clover and grass mix recovers faster from heavy chicken traffic than clover planted alone in high-use areas. Dandelion roots, dried and ground, have traditionally been used as a mild liver support herb for both humans and livestock. Plantain leaves crushed and applied to minor cuts have a long folk history as a natural first aid treatment for small wounds. Chickweed thrives in the exact shoulder seasons when other forage plants are either not yet growing or already finished. Amaranth grain harvested and stored dry provides a shelf-stable protein source that bridges gaps between fresh forage seasons. Duckweed doubles so fast that a single 5-gallon bucket can supply meaningful daily protein to a small flock within a week. Nasturtium flowers add visible color to a run and are often the first thing curious chickens investigate in a new planting. Rotating. Which of the 13 plants gets harvested each day naturally creates the dietary variety chickens are biologically wired to seek.